Join me as we talk all things true crime.
Made contact and shattered.
Liberty, a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called the NSF, but the mother went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her, they've been yelling for her.
Turn it over to another agency. Let's get some help.
Where are your kids? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say? You're over here in Hawaii? Chad, where are Lori's kids?
4 were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds.
Most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound.
Hi, everybody. I'm not in my usual office. The heat guy is coming to fix our heat, so I am streaming from the guest room. Let me know if you can hear me. And hello, Johnny and Lambs Bond. Thank you so much for gifting memberships and joining the membership. I really appreciate that. And Adrian, I don't know if you're listening, but I really appreciate the PayPal you sent. And hello, Criminality and Johnny and everyone else, Marshall Dove. Let me give you a wrench, Marshall Dove, while we get situated. And let me share my screen as well. Lots of stuff going on this week. I'm sure you guys already know. If you've seen any of the updates I've put on my community page, I've been trying to follow everything that's happening, even if I can't go live with you. So thank you so much for being here, everyone. There was somebody who, and hello, Pink Dahlia. There was someone who super thanked me on my last Ruby Frankie. It was $2. Her name's Denise. Thank you so much. I hardly ever get super thanks, and they're so cool to get because you can do them after a video is over and all that. So that was just a nice thing to see. I'm still following Ruby Frankie. There's just been no updates yet. So this everyone has seen, talked about. Everyone knows that there's a lot of chaos going on, as usual, in this Delphi situation. And the girls, the victims, I feel are getting lost in the shuffle, unfortunately. And I'm just very afraid that this is going to, I don't want to even say it and speak it into existence, but I don't want this to turn into a miscarriage of justice. But I have a minute clip, actually almost 2 minutes audio of just an update. It's got legal terminologies and all that I think would be better coming from an expert. And then we're going to get into my notes on everything that's happening and just look back at some clips that I've edited together from before Richard Allen was arrested, as well as after his arrest. And it's going to be from law enforcement and the prosecution. And yeah, we're just going to analyze that. But, the big question that everyone has this week is Gull, Judge Gull, is she outside the power to take away, not only to, she can remove them over what she has deemed gross negligence. Even, unfortunately, it would be better, I think, and more practical and, for everyone to see if they had some sort of hearing or, where they can kind of present the evidence of gross negligence and have some testimonies with findings on record. That would be ideal. And I feel like a lot of people would have preferred it to go down that way. But, now we're waiting on some supposed audio from the in-chambers discussion where Richard Allen's team, I guess verbally said that fine, they would step down. Then they came back saying no, like we decided we don't want to. We felt like we were ambushed kind of in there to, had our back up against the wall. And they wanted to go on pro bono. And this on the screen, is Richard Allen's note that's stating to the judge, like, I prefer to have Baldwin and Rosie to stay on, blah, blah, blah. She tells Richard Allen in court the other day on Halloween that that's just not going to happen. She's sorry. She knows that he wants them to stay on. But she went ahead and appointed new attorneys for Richard Allen. And she's just said, I'm sorry, I cannot let Baldwin and Rosie, represent you anymore after what they did. And supposedly one of these new lawyers is Facebook friends with the judge. There's already people who are saying this just seems, like another example of, people wondered, would Richard Allen be getting this type of treatment if he was rich and all that? And it's like, is this a breach of his Sixth Amendment constitutional right? What do you guys think? And comment down below. And I want to thank my replay viewers. You guys are awesome. You're the real MVPs. I really appreciate everyone who watches on replay and discusses everything in the comment section. But yeah, let's listen to this audio that'll catch us up on what took place this week and where we can go from here. The Supreme Court is being notified. Adrian, thank you so much for the PayPal. I don't know if you heard me earlier, but thank you for being here. And yeah, just let me know what you guys are thinking.
Attorneys independent of the Delphi criminal case filed a petition with the Indiana Supreme Court against Special Judge Francis Gull from Allen County for a writ of mandamus and prohibition. That's a legal term that asks for the high court to order a lower court to follow the rules or correct mistakes. The petition argues court records sealed in this case should be made public. The state's highest court has set a November 9th deadline for interested parties to weigh in. On Tuesday, Judge Gull refused to let Andrew Baldwin and Bradley Rosie continue as Richard Allen's attorneys. She said they engaged in gross negligence. They said that's the court's opinion. I spoke with longtime defense attorney Ben Jaffe.
There hasn't been a clear showing that there is some gross negligence. And even if there was, does it warrant the removal, or does that give the court an actual authority to remove them? Those are still unanswered questions.
Jaffe believes the writ of mandamus could actually open the door for the state Supreme Court to reinstate Baldwin and Rosie. He says the discussion in chambers with Judge Gull before the October 19th hearing, where they verbally agreed to resign, could be critical evidence.
This recording from the in-chambers discussion that led to all of this kind of blowing up, that will be of particular interest to a higher court, I'm thinking. But we'll get some discussion at least, or some direction on what limitations Judge Gull has in her rulings, whether she's overstepped those bounds. And I believe the Supreme Court has quite a bit of leeway to do what they want to do.
Judge Gull already appointed 2 new public defenders from Allen County. In Indianapolis, Rich Knight.
So that is the update as far as we know today. And welcome, Lynn, and thank you so much for being here, everyone. Please hit that like button while I switch up the screen a little bit. And let's see. And also Criminality had a really good live stream last night with Crime Curious and a defense attorney named Chris. And he weighed in and gave, his opinions on a lot of different questions that we have. Some of the questions, it's best if you just go listen to him explain it. But it did kind of make it seem like it was, of course we get all in our emotions and hyped up sometimes, but it seemed like he kind of was able to level everyone's thinking and rationalize and kind of compare his work experience and some of the things that we've kind of been like, what's going on? Why is he in prison when he hasn't been convicted? Some of the things he was saying kind of made sense. In a lot of states, prisons are, better food and stuff like that. So it's just interesting. And Richard Allen apparently was looking better in court, according to some witnesses who saw him. His wife has been by his side, standing by him every single hearing. And I'm wondering, is he looking better and gaining weight back and hello, BG, because he was on a good run. I feel like when that memorandum came out, things were looking good for his defense team and for his defense. I think that it was received in a way where it did its job, and that was to cause reasonable doubt. Some legal experts have said, about Richard Allen wanting Rosie and Baldwin to stay on, that they should just let that take place. And if he wants to pick lawyers that are subpar, since, that's what they're kind of being accused of doing something that was wrong, so the judge could have it in writing and have on file that if he chooses them, that he can't use this for an appeal in the future to say that he was given, like he wouldn't be able to say that he had ineffective counsel. So that was sort of another interesting option that I heard legal experts say too, that they could have gone that route, like let him keep Rosie and Baldwin, for pro bono. And, he can afford them because they're pro bono. Give him that. But then they're saying they could have easily had it in writing and on record that it wouldn't be used against them for an appeal later. So I thought that was an interesting compromise, but it doesn't seem like obviously it's going in that direction. What exactly will the Supreme Court say? I think it's going to be really interesting to hear because people are very divided on this. Some people are saying that it's not a breach of his Sixth Amendment. Others are saying it's borderline and very controversial. I think, I'll be interested to see what the Supreme Court says. Right now, the lawyers that he has are being handed the discovery as we speak. And, they have a lot of work to do. And the next trial is out a year. So, all right. And also, I just want to say before I switch up and start playing some clips to go through with you guys, I just really hope that we're working towards justice and not just a conviction. That's all I really hope for, like, at this point. Like, please, hi, Delaney. Good to see you. I just really hope that. Yeah, criminality. He had hope. So was he? That's why I was saying, like, people who were saying that Richard Allen looked like he was doing better. I'm just curious if that has anything to do with it. And now imagine, is he going to deteriorate again now that, he's not granted the lawyers he wants? Discordus says, I believe the judge could be trying to keep the case from being thrown by his lawyers committing malpractice through negligence. I've seen that theory as well. Also, I wanted to kind of talk about how Baldwin allegedly said something along the lines of journalists need to do what journalists are supposed to do or something like that. Somebody in this group on Facebook, what did Baldwin mean when he was walking past the media and said, journalism, it's time for you to start being journalists? And the comments, I'll read, some of the top ones. I think he was trying to say, do your job, investigate this for the real story. Someone else says, in my opinion, he meant be journalists, as in go and find and follow the facts and report on that. He wants this whole case and everything that's going on to be all over the news because his client is innocent and they're getting rid of anyone that speaks the truth here. Somebody says he was saying, get this judge the F out of here. Media is not reporting the facts and truth. It was a battle cry, a rally of the troops. Those girls deserve justice. Their families deserve answers. Something is amiss in Carroll County. Enough is enough. I think this statement translates to time to stop grabbing a camera or a notebook and calling yourself a journalist. Investigate, question, fact check, call out injustices. If you don't see them, but tons of people do, look harder for them, report them. Journalists are supposed to investigate and to report to the people and to earn your title you're given yourself. So other people said stirring the pot, playing the victim. I'm curious what you guys are thinking. And hello, Scottish Queen. Good to see you. DC Primetime. Will be good to see you. All right. So I'm looking through chat also while I switch up my screen. Nancy Grace and Banfield are relentless on Richard Allen and Brian Coworker. Yes, I know it. All right, so let me switch my screen up. So again, I'm just going to go through some statements made in the case regarding Richard Allen. I mean, before Richard Allen was arrested and after, and we'll just pause and go through it. Do I believe this Richard Allen is innocent? I'm uncertain. I mean, with everything that we have, I couldn't say 100% either way. I think if he's involved, there's other people involved. I can say that. I just don't think it's 5'4" Richard Allen did this alone by himself out there, in my opinion.
Also confirms the girls were being followed by the suspect on the Monon High Bridge Trail.
So obviously these next few statements are before Richard Allen was arrested. These clips range from the year, I think 2019 all the way up to he was arrested.
For more than 2 years, you never thought we would shift gears to a different investigative strategy, but we have.
So I just wanted to say real quick too, and that's the thing is I'm going to be pausing to kind of elaborate on why I picked these clips. So 2 years in, they've got to shift for a different strategy. Some people could think, well, that's what happens in investigations. Other people could think that they hit a dead wall. They can't agree on things. I think it's more so people's theories and avenues that investigation personnel were going down just were not aligning, in my opinion.
We likely have interviewed you or someone close to you, and you want to know what we know, and one day you will.
So a lot of people have pointed out, okay, so they knew, and we talked about on the last stream, we knew back then that in 2019, they felt like they have already interviewed them. Come to find out, yeah, it was a missed tip. How at this point, when he just said in 2019, we're going back with a new strategy, the Richard Allen tip will still remain unseen and observed, I guess, and researched for years.
What will those closest to you think of when they find out that you brutally murdered 2 little girls? We are confident that you have told someone what you have done. Or at the very least, they know because of how different you are since the murders.
So here he's theorizing that this in 2019, whoever did this has changed since the crimes have occurred. And I tried to track it down again today, and from what I can see, it's just hearsay, nothing really confirmed 100%. But there is that rumor that Richard Allen checked himself into a psych ward, I've heard. I've also heard another one that said it was like a rehab center for his drinking. All that would be protected under HIPAA law. But if it's true, and you guys let me know, like, what have you heard on that? Because like I said, everything I tracked down was basically people saying, I heard this, is this true? So it's a rumor out there. Is that related to guilt, And hello, Tony, thanks for being here.
You said something during the briefing that you feel like the investigators may have talked to him. Do you think that at some point or since then that one of your guys has gotten in front of this person and asked him questions? And if so, then how, at that point, did it not lead to an arrest, and how could it moving forward?
Well, I think it's likely. I think it's likely. There's a lot of opinions out there. There's a lot of subjective opinions. There's a lot of analysis being done,
And so here, this interview is also before Richard Allen's arrest. And it's after that press brief where he says, I feel like we've interviewed you likely already. This was in May 2019. And he's saying there's a difference in strategies. There's a difference in opinions and a difference in analysis. Like, he's pretty much saying what we've already been kind of assuming and suspecting that, FBI might have felt one thing. In fact, it looked like they were looking into Ron Logan. There was the sheriff and Carroll County, like locals, probably looking at this one area. We know from the defense team memorandum that there were detectives who were seasoned detectives that felt this Odinism theory was substantial. And it weighed more heavily than going after Richard Allen. And that's, just from things that we know. So just imagine, these people, these agencies trying to work together behind the scenes. And oddly enough, this tip with Richard Allen wasn't at the sheriff's office. It wasn't the state. It wasn't FBI or the marshals. It was with a conservation officer. I don't know. All that to me is very odd. It's true he was in a clinic for drinking and mental health. Both go hand in hand. Bridge guy is taller. Not Richard Allen. No way. That's the thing is, like, to me, I feel like I feel the same way. And then I look at like side by sides and I know that, Doug Carter's about to say, like, don't do those comparisons. But I feel like I can almost see that it's Richard Allen. But that's the thing is I'm not convinced the guys down the hill is the same person. Like, I'm thinking there's somebody else with Richard Allen. But again, I'm not 100%. And I don't think 12 jurors would be 100% that Bridge guy is Richard Allen. Other people have said that wasn't true about him in a mental or a psych ward or rehab center. I think investigators disagreed over possible suspects, and that may have sparked the change in direction announcement. I think so too, 100%. Yes, like going back through these clips and stuff, like, to me, it definitely seems like, and the other thing too is I feel like they hit more than one brick wall. Like, I feel like they hit this brick wall and then they, announced in 2019 new strategies. And then Ron Logan dies and they start going back through things. And then in less than a year, they've arrested Richard Allen. And that also comes after these meetups with Keegan Kline. And, where does that all fit in? I think, and I'll explain why, like, as we go through this, but I think there is more to do with Keegan Kline. Like, I'm thinking he was given immunity. Again, obviously, he's not Bridge guy. I think we can say with full certainty that Bridge guy is not Keegan Kline. But Jojo says, hi, Al, I'm starting to believe he may not be the right guy. And that's the thing is, like, the running theory about the ejected bullet is in a jam when he was forced them down the hill. Like, and so many people, and that the experts are going to go up there and say that this is junk science for the defense. But not only that, like, I think that there's people who just know about guns, like, way more than I do, obviously, that think, like, this is weird. Like, what do you mean? Like, how would it have fallen out? And like Criminality brought up the other night, like, if they're moved and staged there, why is the gun even out at that point? Like, in a way that this bullet would be fallen out of it. It just doesn't make sense. Like, and a lot of people, including myself, like, believe that where they're laying wasn't actually the crime scene. Even FBI said moved and staged. We don't know how many feet or yards or whatever. But so where is the gun coming in play if they're being laid there in the sticks and all that? Like, how is the gun allowing for this bullet to just magically fall out a few feet in between the victims? The gun is a better weapon to control two girls. I know. I still have a hard time even picturing just one guy with a gun with two girls. I don't know. I'm sure it's obviously happened in the past, but if the officer who interviewed Allen was not impressed enough by him as a suspect to follow up or even mention it to other police or once over the next 5 years, what does that say? That, right, especially here we are, 2019, in this clip, this audio and stuff, and he's saying, and he says it more than once in this whole stream, I'll show you, that they're combing back through. And if we have to, we'll start from the beginning. And even when an arrest takes place, Doug Carter says, we will go back through and lay it out. And that's just what they do, even through the courts. They go back through and go over things, you know? So how in 2019, if they're saying that they're doing different strategies and stuff, how is this really like missed? And again, is it possible that they had Richard Carter in their eye for a while and we just never knew? When did Carter give that speech about the shack and we know power is important to you? Oh, the first clip that I played, where he said that we've likely interviewed you, that was 2019. I think it said March. I can check right now while I play this. But yeah, all this stuff is still before Richard Allen is arrested, and then it'll show us on the screen like once it starts after he's arrested. It's only like less than 12 minutes long.
We're trying to encourage folks to not do those kinds of side-by-side.
How, at that point, did it not lead to an arrest, and how could it moving forward?
Well, I think it's likely. I think it's.
I want to know what we.
Okay, April 2019 was when that first one was. And then this interview is the next month.
Since then, that one of your guys has gotten in front of this person and asked him questions. And if so, then how, at that point, did it not lead to an arrest, and how could it moving forward?
Well, I think it's likely. I think it's likely. There's a lot of opinions out there. There's a lot of subjective opinions. There's a lot of analysis being done, which we're trying to encourage folks to not do those kinds of side-by-side analysis. I really believe that over time we're going to have an idea that we were onto something early on. You have to understand that's not just science, but it's also human intelligence, what people know. Somebody knows whose body that is, Scott. Somebody knows. If you take the head off of a person that you know, you'll recognize the body, whether it be your dad, your brother, your uncle, your friend, your neighbor, your coworker. That's the piece we're waiting on. And I believe that we'll get there. There is an extraordinary group of people up there that's doing this work, and I believe they're going to come to a successful resolution.
So he said there's an enormous amount of people up there doing the work, and I have a feeling that they're going to come to a successful resolution. Like, it's almost like he's pretty much saying, like, we got a whole team that just can't agree on like which avenue or which person or what theory we want to go down. Like, it just seems like as much as he puts on this, like, we're going to continue this and do this until we can't do this anymore, it's almost still, you can pick up on innuendos of, they're going to come to a resolution. And it just pretty much tells me there's, so many different opinions on the investigation, even at the 2-year mark. In an interview in 2019, Carter said he has reason to believe the bridge guy is the killer. Yeah, I don't have that in this one, but I have seen that. And I mean, even from week 1, everything with the bridge guy image before they released the video said suspect, so you would think that suspect meant number 1 to them. But I still think that there's more to all this.
You mentioned the body and the release of video, and this is only 2 or 3 frames of video, but it shows the movement of the person. It's been asked, and I'm sure it's been asked of you as well, why not release that sooner? You knew.
So here, this journalist is asking exactly what a retired FBI agent said, and we played that clip in a previous live stream too. It's in my playlist for Delphi in case you guys want to reference any of this stuff later. But he pretty much says that he felt like the state police and Carroll County were releasing information too slow. And this journalist is asking the same question, like, why not release this video that you had so much sooner? And hello, Florida Bass Fishing. I saw Roxanne come in and everyone else who has joined. Thank you so much for being here. Somebody else I wanted to say hi to specifically because you guys have been around with me for a while. So if I miss you guys in chat, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to, stay focused because I get distracted.
Right away, you had a picture, but a picture is different than video. Why wait that long?
Yeah, a picture is different than video, and a sketch is different than a photograph.
So remember that line for when we get later in this video. A sketch is different than a photograph. A sketch is different than a photograph. And you guys know that he's said that more than once before Richard Allen was arrested. Jackie Johnson said, just watch Logan in his videos. He has the same basic gait, walk slow with short steps. And remember, FBI said his walk in the way that Ron Logan looked on that video was consistent. Again, that was his opinion. And he said the voice wasn't inconsistent. So there's still a lot of questions and reasonable doubt out in the air around Ron Logan and what maybe role he played. He might not be the killer. Again, there could be different levels to all this, especially if we believe that this has something to do with some child pee ring or, snuff film we've discussed prior. That is really my main theory. Like, what is the stem of all this? I think that it's something along those lines.
So you're right. You're absolutely correct. We'll be able to one day tell you what we know and why we didn't release it. We don't want to show our hand. We don't want to show the complete picture of what we know versus what we think. We have to be very, very careful there.
The sketch, and to be clear, and you did clarify this after, but in case folks didn't hear it, you don't want them to look at both sketches anymore. You only want the newly released sketch, correct?
That's correct. But remember, a sketch is not a photograph.
Right.
It's something.
So this is a different interview. So at this point, he wants only people to pay attention to this sketch, which people have nicknamed it Justin Timberlake's sketch. It's just very strange. Hello, Angie Erickson's good to see you. So at this point in 2019, I believe this is, he is wanting everyone to kind of focus on just this sketch. So then what is this other sketch? Like, what was the point of going years where people, and somebody had even said in another live stream that one of the victims' mothers or something, and someone in their family, I could be wrong about who, but was handing out and just using their own dime to print off copies of the first sketch and thinking that was, where they were headed and what route. So yeah, Eclipse Truth, I saw your explanation about, when you cock a gun, there might be one already in there in the chamber. But what we're confused with is they were moved and staged. I guess we don't know. Maybe one was killed there and the other one wasn't. So maybe that was what was taking place. But they weren't the kidnapping aspect, with the gun, when allegedly you can hear it in the Snapchat video. They say he has a gun, and somebody said, one of the mothers said that, yes, you can hear cocking of a gun. That wasn't where they were found. So it's just kind of hard for me to understand, so wait, if they were using the gun to intimidate, but these bodies were moved and staged here, they were already to past the point of intimidation, they were dead. So it's just very strange. The whole case is so strange. And even the clothing in the river for me is something that I get hung up over. And it's a detail that I just can't iron out. No, combine both sketches. No, don't do that. Wait, I need to call Murder Sheet about Keegan. Oh, gosh. I saw they were on Court TV. But we're going to play actually the legal panel from Court TV at the end where it has the legal aspects. So I haven't watched that yet. So I want to watch it with you guys first, but we're still going to go through this stuff too. It is stranger than Watson, Idaho. It's like a puzzle. This one is more like a puzzle, whereas those cases I kind of had more of a grasp of understanding. All of them, though, crazy cases and tragic. So who is this sketch? Who is this young guy? Because in our one previous live stream or the one before that, can't remember at this point, but we read an article and it was from 2019 and it was talking about this sketch and it said it ranged from the ages of 18 to 40. And then it said, or it could be somebody who looks younger than they really are. So it's like, what the heck? Like, that's such a broad age range. Yes, Murder Sheet was on a day ago.
Similar to a resemblance. And the likelihood of this being something between the two is probably pretty strong. But again, that's a subjective opinion based upon what I believe.
So according to him at this point, that the sketches could be a combination or something in between both of them. And that's according to his opinion at that point. So again, is this another subtle innuendo that like maybe other people don't agree, or maybe there's more to these sketches, like more people? They look nothing like each other or Richard Allen, in my opinion. Some people think the older one with the hat looks like Richard Allen. I have like a side-by-side too in this.
Why is it that we don't know how these girls died? Why is it that we don't know if, for instance, they were sexually assaulted?
Because
now this here, I thought, you know, we've all been wondering, were they essayed? At this point, we hadn't gotten the information from the Ron Logan. The Ron Logan search warrant pretty much told us how they were killed, which Doug Carter's about to say. Excuse me while I drink water. Doug Carter's about to say, well, we can't give you guys that information because only we know that and the killer. So that's why I feel like, holy crap, like as much as we like the information we got from that Ron Logan search warrant, that exposed so much of what the investigation had under wraps and had as leverage. So once all that information came out about the crime scene, then that was, you know, kind of probably pulled a rug out from underneath law enforcement, because that was something that they could stand on as like, well, we know the details. So if we ever interview people, you know, that's what you use. You use the truth and see, you know, where their statements align with what you know as factual evidence. So I just feel like it was a travesty. As much as I love the information we gathered from it as web sleuths and just, you know, public, it was such a travesty, I think, for that podcast to put that information out there, because that really compromised the investigation, in my opinion.
Why is it that we don't know how these girls died? Why is it that we don't know if, for instance, they were sexually assaulted?
Because only the killer knows that, and so do we. That's why.
I've seen in press briefings in the past where you've addressed this person or persons directly. Is there anything that you'd like to say to them?
They're watching.
So here he says they're watching. And now remember, I'm feeling like if Richard Allen is part of this, he's not alone. There's something more going on here, in my opinion. So when he says they're watching, you could take that as a singular person, or you could take that as like a group, right? So that's where I'm like listening to Doug Carter. I'm like, what does he mean they're watching? Like that obviously could just mean a solo person, but it could mean more. So it's just driving me nuts.
They're watching. And we'll meet them soon. We'll meet them.
You say eventually the world is going to know. Does that mean you are close, in your opinion?
I think we're closer every day. The tips keep coming. And once that comes in, once that completes itself, then we're going to have to assign another 60 or 80 detectives to this and go back through every single lead that we've ever gotten.
And here, 2022, he's talking about going through tips again and going back from the beginning, or to the beginning. And it's like, then how? So 2019, you guys made this reference about starting over and going through different strategy and direction. Now, 2 years or more than 2 years after that, sorry, can't do math. 2022, he's saying, we got to go through the tips again and, go through things all over. It's like, what the heck? How many times? And you still miss this Richard Allen tip.
Have to assign another 60 or 80 detectives to this and go back through every single lead that we've ever gotten. I'm confident that there'll be a successful conclusion for Abby and Libby.
We've seen.
I think so too. Stephanie says, I think Carter is better than the sheriff. I think so too. I just still am feeling like they might have needed more Fed involvement, in my opinion. Tony says, I feel a few people could be connected. Yeah, me too. I think goes deep on the shade meter. Yeah, in my opinion, I don't think Bridge Guy had a limp because of the way the video was edited and enhanced. Some people will think that it's just the bridge too, like just being old and uneven. Mac J, good to see you. This guy always comes across as he was lying to me. I feel like it's like I can't determine if it's because he's protecting the information or if it's, he's protecting things that he doesn't want like revealed as far as like mistakes made, or maybe people are disagreeing with his opinion on where to go in the investigation, but he is just steadfast and thinking his own thing. I don't know what it is, but I get that same kind of feeling at times.
There's footage of the girl of this suspect, of this person of interest, from I believe Libby's phone. Is there surveillance video of the girls at any time going?
Rich, I'm doing this interview to talk about the effects that this gruesome crime has had on a community, on a state, and on a nation. I'm not going to talk about the evidence. It's not one.
Okay.
Okay. I've got nothing
Okay.
new. I've got nothing new to release.
Okay. I'll switch gears here. I'm sorry. The crime scene, the area where their bodies were found, from what I've been told and from being there.
Like, to me, that felt like staged. I don't know if him and the reporter like decided that. I don't know. That was like so weird to me.
The evidence. It's not one.
Okay.
Okay. I've got nothing
Okay.
new. I've got nothing new to release.
Okay. I'll switch gears here. I'm sorry. The crime scene, the area where their bodies were found, from what I've been told and from being there, is very hard to reach. And some have speculated that it's only reachable if you cross this creek, or if you, and the speculation is that this is a person that was very familiar with the terrain. Can you speak to that at all?
One thing I'd say is any place in the country that's rural, there's multiple points of access, generally speaking, especially in Indiana that's hilly, but mostly.
So this part I thought was interesting because he's saying that, in his opinion, in rural areas like this, there's a lot of different points of access. And we kind of talked about this too, like when they're discussing where Bridge Guy or where Richard Allen was seen, they place him in certain places and they say, okay, he was walking this way, the girls were walking that way, all in the PCA. But where they're found, there's so kind of out there in the midst of woods and all that. It's like anyone could have been anywhere, kind of hiding or waiting to come out at any of these areas. So it just kind of is like, just because Richard Allen was here at this time, like, does that mean that he's, I don't know. To me, it's just, there's a lot of room even for Richard or Ron Logan's property to kind of being used. Maybe he okayed it. Again, I'm just speculating, but let's just listen to that part again.
There's multiple points of access, generally speaking, especially in Indiana that's hilly, but mostly flat. So again, there's a lot of speculation as to why they might have been there.
Thank you, Mac J, for the super chat. I've been so excited for your coverage on Delphi. Thanks so much for covering the case. No problem. Thank you so much for that, and for everyone being here. The reporter on this, I could send you the link, Marshall Dove. I have it. I just don't have the name. So these clips are going to be after the arrest. So this is after Richard Allen was arrested, and that was October 2022.
Are you confident this is your guy?
The judge signed the probable cause affidavit for the arrest of Richard Allen.
So this is the beginning of these like awkward, weird responses to that question. Are you confident Richard Allen is the right guy? And he always goes to, I think I have like 3 of them that are like this. The judge signed the probable cause affidavit for Richard Allen. And then he says yes in this one. So this is right after he was arrested. Like days after Richard Allen was arrested, one of the first interviews with Doug Carter. And he pretty much responds with, the judge signed the probable cause affidavit. Yes, I believe he's the right guy. But then things kind of start changing. Hi, Seth. Good to see you. Things kind of start changing when he keeps getting asked that by different news organizations. And, you know, the days kind of go by after Richard Allen is arrested. And it becomes like he's not so clear when he says yes.
For 2.
Are you confident this is your guy?
The judge signed the probable cause affidavit for the arrest of Richard Allen for 2 counts of murder. Yes.
Do you think there are other people involved?
I'm not going to go there.
So also, this is what the other thing that I noticed about people asking him about other people being connected. First interview asked it. He says, and this was, I think, October 31st, 2022, not going to go there. So if you want to, if, you know, anyone who's going to ask him on this day about other people being involved, he's not going to even go there. That also kind of changes up a little bit over the time that he's being interviewed after Richard Allen's arrest. And he's asked that question. So just pay attention to that also. I thought it was interesting. And also not going to go there as far as other people being involved. That's not a no.
Is there somebody else out there?
Right now, we've arrested Richard Allen, and that's what the courts have allowed us to do. We are going to be searching for anyone involved in this case until it's over.
Also not a no.
There's still speculation out there that
I just wanted to show this image because I respect Jason Jensen. He's that private investigator out in, I think he's in Utah. I don't know. He's out in Midwest, but he, you know, is very certain at this point in this tweet. I don't know the date for this, but it was back before Twitter became X. And he's very convinced that Ron Logan is Bridge Guy. And there's a lot of people who still say that they think he is. And then there's a lot of people who are saying no.
investigators should still continue to look, even though he's passed away, at Ron Logan where the bodies were found.
We're going to keep doing what we've done until there's nothing left for us to do.
So she's saying there's still people who are saying, even though he's dead, that, you know, Richard or Ron Logan might have some involvement. And he's saying, we're going to keep investigating. It's like he's not saying no.
Where the bodies were found.
We're going to keep doing what we've done until there's nothing left for us to do. We're going to keep doing it.
When you guys searched Mr. Logan's property, Kim Riley, was it Kim's? And he was saying it was because some things didn't add up. Are we still looking at Mr. Logan as possibly involved?
At everything.
So does anyone know who Ken Riley is? Because she's saying that she was looking back through her notes and she's remembers a conversation with Ken Riley, or maybe she said Kim, I don't know. And somebody said to her that they were going back over Ron Logan stuff because some things weren't adding up.
At all of it. We're looking at all of it.
Riley, was it Kim's? And he was saying it was because some things didn't add up. Are we still looking at Mr. Logan as possibly
At
involved?
everything and all of it. We're looking at all of it. We said when this happened we were going to start all over.
So you never cleared him, Mr. Logan?
We haven't cleared anybody.
So this is after Richard Allen's arrested. We haven't cleared anybody.
Based on investigators' experience, it is reasonable to believe that the creation of an alibi prior to the discovery of a crime indicates culpability or knowledge of the crime.
The reason why I included this Ron Logan search warrant information is because, you know, sometimes you just go through things over and over, and it's like him lying and coming up with that alibi for right around the time the girls went missing. You know, it's like, is it just something or is it nothing? Was it just he didn't want to get in trouble because he's breaking probation? Is it because, you know, there's more? Again, this is saying it could indicate culpability or just knowledge of the crime. Was this something that Ron Logan okayed, where people could go on his property, maybe take some pics of some girls? And like these horrible people who do stuff like this, like they keep their circle small and it's very, very tight as far as like, you know, I don't know. So it just makes me wonder, like, did Ron Logan know something was going on there and he's not involved anywhere past that? FBI is indicating here that him lying about the alibi and the creation of this fake alibi with his cousin could indicate that he had culpability, or it could just be it's indicating he knew something was happening. So I just feel like, unfortunately, there's still a reasonable doubt in my mind, you know, where exactly this whole Ron Logan thing sits in, because we're hearing a neighbor in the area too was on vacation. So it makes you wonder, was this premeditated to take place during that time where another neighbor nearby just wouldn't even be around? You know, who would be close enough to know this area to dump the bodies and get in and out of that area? Also, they'd been saying for a long time they felt like this person was a part of the area, like knew the area well, or from the community. So he did go to the dump. Yeah, that's other thing, Scottish Queen. Like, what? That is confirmed, right? Like, and you and me looked into that, I think, last week. Ron Logan goes to the dump. Why didn't law enforcement go to the dump and search what he dumped? Might have cleared him or not cleared him. Right. Like, what were the details on that? What were you dumping off? And why, of all days, you're going to the dump on that day? Like, do you always go on that day of the week at that time? You know what I mean? Like, where does that fall in his regular routine? And if he's not supposed to even be driving, you know, it's like, was it that important that you needed to go throw something out? And not only that, it's like, why didn't you just say your cousin and you went to go to the dump? Instead, he comes up with this whole other elaborate story that he was with his buying exotic fish, and he got home and his neighbor says that they're looking for two girls and he was inside messing around with his new fish while they searched. It's like, you were just informed that they need to go on your property because there's girls missing, and then you decide not to help them but to just kind of play around with your tropical fish inside. To me, that's strange too. That's like out of the norm of what like a normal person kind of would do, in my opinion. Like, you would think he would show them his property themselves, maybe, you know? And then that makes me wonder, well, since we know that they were moved and staged there, and a lot of people are thinking that's a secondary crime scene, then did Ron Logan tell whoever did this, like, yeah, they've already searched my area, go ahead and put them back there? And they were moved there like at a different time, but before they were discovered at 12:15. Again, we don't really know, like, as far as the details, and all that could be found out by the autopsy and like knowing where, you know, the blood settles and all that in the body. The dump was before the murders, Steve says. So before 3:30, right? Because they're saying that all that was, he went to the dump around 11 a.m. and was on video throwing trash bags out of the bed of his truck. Oh, thank you, Unmatched Truth. I didn't know that. Interesting. I'm stumped. Yeah, same. All right. So that's, now we have a timeline at least for this dumpage. So thank you for that. One less thing, right? One less thing to this puzzle.
The newly revealed search warrant says Ron Logan's voice was not inconsistent with that of the person in the video. The warrant declares Logan's physical build is consistent with the suspect.
I did just want to bring this up to kind of, people are passing this around as truth, and it's like, it could be seen as that, it could not be seen as that. But this was from some article that was called like Facts and Fiction or something around, these are the facts and rumors on this case. So this, on this day, a month after the crime, Ron Logan had been arrested and he spent time, I believe, in jail for breaking probation. And so it came out that he was arrested. People thought that he was arrested because of the murders. State police decided to tweet this out and says, media reports connecting Ron Logan to Delphi murders is false. Probation violation, no connection to murder investigation. It's literally just saying everything you're hearing and seeing about him being arrested. It's not because of the homicides. It's just because he broke probation. But this article had this clipped in here, and you can see that whoever made this article, I'm not sure who, and it had really good information with it. I'm not just saying that it was all wrong, but this says Chief Communications Officer Dave Bertson says Logan has no connection to Delphi murders. And that's not really what it's saying. It says probation violation. When he was arrested for that had no connection to the murders. So I just wanted to just say, I like the information and everyone's opinions on this, but I think some people are misinterpreting certain things, and then we get like lost in the truth. So this is just strictly talking about when he was arrested on that. Right. Ron Logan in total, or just the probation part? See, this person is taking it as this chief communications officer says Logan has no connection to Delphi murders. But when this came out and when this tweet was in real time, it was because everything was coming out about him being arrested for the probation violation. So
I can appreciate.
Just wanted to lay that out there as like, that's not really what that tweet, the atmosphere of that tweet.
For our citizens to have these questions answered. It will come. But if any of us said something that would be detrimental to the criminal prosecution of the person or persons that.
So he's saying, I appreciate the public wanting these answers, but if I give out this information, I could interfere with the process of the person or persons. As you see on the screen, it says plural, in case you didn't hear this. Okay, good night, Seth. Thanks for being here. Involved in killing Abby and Libby. So this is after Richard Allen's arrested, one of the first interviews, but not, the first. And he's saying like plural as in people who killed them. Now, there's all this speculation how one of, I believe Abby bled out slowly. Hers might not have been the artery as Libby's was. Does that mean different manner, different killer, different knife maybe? Does that mean Abby was first, killer messed up and decided to do it right the next time, but it's still one killer? I can't decide there. And you guys let me know.
The desire for our citizens to have these questions answered. It will come. But if any of us said something that would be detrimental to the criminal prosecution of the person or persons that killed Abby and Libby.
Can you talk about what brought you to Mr. Allen?
No, I can't.
Can you talk about if he's related to Kevin Klein in any way?
Talk about any of the facts associated with the case. Emily, I can't.
All right. So, I got to go back. Can't talk about what connected them to Richard Allen. Weird. Can't even talk about Keegan Klein because he says, I can't discuss the facts in the case. So, what exactly does that, to me, it's another insinuation and how I kind of read it. Again, I could be wrong, but I'm really feeling like Keegan Klein is an informant and he was given immunity. So that's why when you read stuff about him and you go back all the years, remember they focused in on him kind of really in the beginning, right away. Obviously because of the Anthony Shots thing. I just have a hard time feeling like they were being preyed on online and that's not connected to them being preyed on in person. I feel like that's way too coincidental that they're not connected. Again, obviously Keegan Klein's not bridge guy, but is there a situation they bring him to an area that no one will see him, that Air Force base or whatever, where he has that conversation with state police or police, and was he given an immunity deal for information? Thank you, Lambs Bond. I appreciate that. So I just feel like there's something that you could maybe read between the lines when they're questioned about Keegan, and they're very tight-lipped, and everything you hear says that he's never been formally named a suspect or he's never been tied to this case. If you're an informant and you're given immunity, like they aren't necessarily going to come out and say, we're looking into him because we think he's suspect, like that's going to be very much under wraps. You're going to protect your informant and you're going to abide by whatever the immunity deal was. But let me just see what you guys are saying. No way LNA were laying there the 13th. It happened elsewhere like midnight and they were moved there 3 or 4 a.m. I'm definitely feeling like if Ron Logan is involved on some level, again, maybe he knew something that was going on, but he was like, whoa, what the heck? I didn't know it was going to be like this. Like maybe he tells them that they've already searched my area. They're good to go back there. Just cover them up. They'll never find them. They already went back there. I don't know. I just feel like without more information, anything's really possible. Scottish Queen says, I kind of think they were killed and someone filmed it and took pics, them staged for some. Yeah, I think that I think it is that, and is it one person who did the killings and one person is filming? Is it, I don't know. Is there 3 people? Because that's the thing. Once you start adding more and more people, and it's like, but at the same time, these circles are very like small, but they're close, because they all share this information, this material that's terrible.
Of the person or persons that killed Abby and Libby.
Can you talk about what brought you to Mr. Allen?
No, I can't.
Can you talk about if he's related to Kevin Klein in any way?
Talk about any of the facts associated with the case.
I really can't, he's gonna say, but I can't talk about the facts associated with the case. And then the prosecutor says the same thing after Richard Allen is arrested about Keegan Klein.
I asked Superintendent Carter if Klein had been cooperative, and he declined to discuss Klein any further.
So this other journalist asked him about Klein. Doug Carter won't even discuss him. He declined to discuss Klein any further. And here we're going to hear the prosecutor say the same thing, that it's a part of the case. He can't comment on it. So it's a part of the Delphi case, obviously because of Anthony Shots, but them not being able to comment on, like, why couldn't he just say, yeah, he was running this Anthony Shots thing and we're looking into that. But instead they're like, we can't talk about it. And like that to me would happen in like an immunity deal where they just can't say anything because they need their informant and to abide by whatever this legal immunity contract is.
Hold on just a minute. We're not going to comment on that right now as part of the investigation.
Who's the lead investigator, though, on this? Is it Carroll County? Is it you guys? Is it?
So this I thought was interesting. Yeah, that's the thing is I know that Ruckus Rocks and Steve from True Crime Web went out there and the terrain they said was like crazy. Steve fell, but he was okay. But either way, it's like, I guess it really would be difficult to kind of imagine unless I went out there. And it's good that people have kind of given their firsthand experience and gone out there and said this way or that way, it's possible, this way's not. It's tough. It's really tough. It's hard for me to put all my eggs in one basket where it's like, I just need to know, like, even with struggle, like there's no way that they could have done it, even with flashlights or like knowing the area. Like I just am like, are you sure? Because I'd love to write that off and like check that off like my list. And I know that you guys are like adamant, like, no, in my opinion. And Steve said the same. I watched his live stream. My opinion, they weren't put out there later at night, he said, because of the access and the darkness and all that. It would be a struggle. It would definitely be hard to imagine, I guess. I really need to get out there and do my own research too and kind of see it firsthand. Sorry if I've missed the comment, Angel Wannabe. Did you want to ask again while it's like kind of at the bottom of the chat where I can read it? It's not impossible, but man, it would be very hard. If they were in an area being held or not, but that's the other thing is like they're stating that everything was done by 3:30. So I guess they have some reason to believe that things were, from what evidence they had, that it was over at 3:30. So then I guess, yeah, carrying 2 dead weight, victims out there. Thank you, Pizza Chemist, gifted 5 memberships. Welcome to the members, the new ones, and all. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Pizza Chemist. I really appreciate you. So here, Doug Carter is asked about, who's running this investigation. And he pretty much says local and state. And then the interviewer says, what about FBI? And he like doesn't say yes, but he doesn't say no. He's just like says that they're able to be there in case they need resources from them or something. And it's like, I think a lot of people have felt like FBI was pushed out of this because they're hiding things in this investigation that the FBI could uncover, and corruption or mistakes or just things that are just wrong that were done in this investigation, maybe on this level or that level. We really don't know, but people are wondering, why was FBI like not involved more? And here it's kind of like he's kind of just watch this clip. And wait, Angel says, I've heard that the Odin cult may have committed the crime. Thoughts? I'm really, unless I could see more of information and more of the images, I'm feeling like it could just have been staged to look like it was a cult, but it wasn't. Especially since my theory is very much leaning towards this being like a child pee and maybe snuff type of film. The cult aspect doesn't fit into that theory at all. So I'm having a hard time kind of tying the two, where I feel like whoever did this thought I'll make it look like it's an occult type of situation. Um, Again, I would have to see the images myself to kind of see like, okay, no, this was just done to cover them up or to make it look random, or this was done on purpose to make it look like it was some ritualistic thing. Um, it's just hard without being able to see more of it. I do find the patches on the prison guards troubling because that was confirmed as true. And some of the people that were mentioned in the memorandum, their Facebook accounts and even the way they looked as far as, could possibly be bridge guy, who knows? I feel like that was kind of shaky for me too. Like I can't 100% say no and write that off my list, but I would just need to see more. Yeah, even if the murders were committed by an Odinist, there was no evidence to suggest Richard Allen was or was not practicing Odinism. Yeah, that's the truth. And it's like, where's the connection to any of them together,
Yes, it's a task force. We've been a task force from the very beginning. This event happened in Carroll County, of course, but we've been unified since the very beginning, and we'll maintain that.
FBI too? Are they still involved?
FBI and all federal agencies are continuing to be available to us.
You said, this is the first time in a case that you could recall that.
Did you guys think that was interesting? I don't know. To me, even him scratching his nose after. Just saying, for people who are thinking that there's corruption involved and things being hidden, I felt like when FBI is brought up, it was a strange answer, in my opinion.
We've been a task force from the very beginning. This event happened in Carroll County, of course, but we've been unified since the very beginning, and we'll maintain that.
FBI too? Are they still involved?
FBI and all federal agencies are continuing to be available to us.
You said, this is the first time in a case that you could recall that you had audio, video of the person you thought was responsible. Do you think Mr. Allen is the man on that bridge?
The judge signed a probable cause affidavit for the arrest of him. I can't wait to tell the story, but today's not the day.
So again, that wasn't a yes. So here we're going back to this whole, is Richard Allen bridge guy? And as much as I was saying, like, I have seen images, even my moderator, the analyst, made one that I used on the thumbnail that I was like, oh, wow, like that does look like Richard Allen. And she did like a simple overlay of their faces. But at the same time, I see Doug Carter's response here, and this is after he's arrested. So why is there this hesitation? Like there shouldn't be. That's where I'm worried that they're just trying to get a conviction in this case and not get to the truth.
This is the first time in a case that you could recall that you had audio, video of the person you thought was responsible. Do you think Mr. Allen is the man on that bridge?
The judge signed a probable cause affidavit for the arrest of him. I can't wait to tell the story, but today's not the day. Due process is still a piece of all this puzzle, and this isn't over until it's over, and that's where the conviction of him.
Now I have some of these side by sides. Again, this is just for us to kind of go through and say you're reaching, or I could see it, just comment in chat. They're only like a few seconds long. I'll flip through. You guys let me know.
That guy and that guy, there's a lot of similarities. How did we get from here to here?
I think there's a little bit of both. I think once we get to where we are today, we'll be able to look at the similarities of the two sketches and make a photograph, which will be Richard Allen.
Now, remember all those years we heard him say, a sketch is not a photograph. A sketch is not a photograph. Here, Richard Allen's arrested and he's saying, I think we're going to be able to combine the sketches and make a photograph of Richard Allen. So I was just like, are you serious? We spent years, with the other narrative. A sketch is not a photograph. Now he's asked about these two very different sketches and he's saying, just combine them and we're going to get a photograph. I'm like, I thought sketches weren't photographs. Hello, Shay Benet. Thank you for being here. And Ashley Oaks, I saw you come in, and everyone else. Thank you so much for being here, guys. See, Mike says Ron Logan is bridge guy, and I respect all opinions because I just am not 100% on anything.
Photograph, which will be Richard Allen.
Now, Florida Bass Fishing earlier says he sees Richard Allen as the first sketch.
A large amount of blood was lost by the victims at the crime scene.
So this was another excerpt from the Ron Logan search warrant that has people kind of confused or, going around with difference of opinions. A large amount of blood was lost by the victims at the crime scene. People have stated that they don't see any blood in the photos, like as far as saturated, but then other people have said, I heard that there was, it was saturated. So again, another thing that I just would have to analyze things myself to know 100%. But all this is saying that wherever they were killed, there would be a whole bunch of blood, lost. And but that's not saying where they were found laying on their backs, where they were in those woods. That's not saying that that's the crime scene. But a large amount of blood was lost by them at the crime scene. That is just the dumping ground, in my opinion, the secondary crime scene. But where exactly is all this blood? That's where did the crime take place? Because I feel like it was somewhere else other than out there where they were found. Lillian says, I don't trust the sheriff, never have cops use guys, especially in jail or prison. He has worked on this case for over 5 years and broke down fake crying at the press conference. There's something weird about him. I agree. And they had very little experience in a double homicide. Very little. We looked into that too. So yeah, I know. I definitely agree with you. The eclipse truth. I definitely know that there's ritualistic type stuff involved, especially Satanism with all that. I just feel like I just don't know if that's what this is, because they're saying this is Odinism, which I feel like unless you could show me like Odinists that were doing that type of stuff too, it's not like the crime scene where it was like when Manson told them to do something, write something witchy in blood, that looked very like Satanist, like, oh my gosh, that was blatant, that was that cult staging that was made to look like it was like a culty thing. This, I don't know exactly where that comes in with like Odinism. But anyways, guys, we went a little longer, so I'm not going to play the 7 minutes court TV thing, but I could probably watch it with you guys in the next live stream. But again, wherever they were killed, where exactly was that? Is it in that barn that we speculated on? Is it in the river itself? I don't know. But yeah, I appreciate everyone who donated. Thank you so much. Everyone who hit the like button. Really, that's all I'm asking for is for you guys to like and subscribe. Thank you, Shay Benet, for congratulating me on 34K. I'm just happy that you guys actually like to listen and talk with me. It means more to me than you guys even realize that you even show up to kind of discuss this stuff. And again, thank you to replay viewers and everyone for being here. My moderators, you guys are awesome. You guys say the best insight and comments too in my chats. Just thank you so much. So I'm going to go live, I think, tomorrow night as well, because usually I go Tuesday and Friday, but Halloween kind of threw me off this week. But I want to do my Friday night stream. I'm not sure what case, maybe Ruby Frankie. There's really no updates, but I want to kind of touch base with some stuff in that I was kind of uncovering. But again, we'll be discussing Delphi, Idaho 4, lots of stuff. We're still waiting on the results for Suzanne Morphew. Like, we don't know her cause of death or the report that came back from the medical examiner after they found her body weeks ago. We don't know anything about that still. So we're following that. Yeah, lots of stuff. My Watts documentary is about to hit 1 million views in probably a day or two, and I'm beyond grateful that anyone watched that documentary. And I feel like to celebrate the 1 million views, I really should go back through the case. I don't know if you guys would be interested in going back through the Watts case with me, but it's just something I'm thinking about doing since it's almost at 1 million views. And thank you, Pizza Chemist, for donating more memberships. That is awesome. And thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful night, and we'll meet back here tomorrow night, probably around the same time. So good night, guys.